Hey everybody, welcome to your Vinyasa practice. We are going to start out seated today, but before you sit, I recommend grabbing, if you have two blocks, grab those blocks. If you don't have blocks at home, no big deal. As usual, we get creative and something that might be block height, like books of equal shape and size, or a stool or a chair will work just as well. So get those things that you need and want, and we'll take a seat. And again, your seat, as usual, it can be supported. You could sit on a chair even, right? So sitting in a way that allows your spine to grow tall with relative ease. There's a little bit of an engagement around the core to stabilize the spine, but you're not holding a lot of tension to let yourself sit this way, right? So relax the shoulders down the back, feel the shoulders shift over the hips, ears stack on top of the shoulders. And you might just kind of feel the neck out for a few moments, like move the head side to side, front to back. Even the shoulders could move side to side, front to back, so you can feel that, start to feel that central axis of the spine centering over the pelvis. And then we'll find some stillness here for a few minutes while we just focus on the breath. I invite you to close the eyes if you like, or soften the gaze. And just start to notice the breath as you drop into your practice. Bringing the awareness into the physical body, noticing how it feels today. And so nothing very specific about the breath, just noticing it. What do you notice about your breath today? You notice things like, does it feel easeful? Does it feel labored? Does it feel deep or shallow? Does it feel loud or quiet? And then even things like the sensation of the breath moving in and out through the nose, if you're taking the air in through the nose. Can you get as granular as noticing the difference in temperature between inhale and exhale? There is a difference. So breath tends to be a few degrees cooler on the inhale and a few degrees warmer on the exhale. And we'll take about 3 more breaths here, just seated. Notice what you notice. And then still in our seated position, we're going to start to warm up through the neck. So drop the chin in towards the chest. Right ear to right shoulder. Rotating the chin up towards the ceiling. Left ear to left shoulder. Down towards the chest. So you're just drawing a circle with your chin, basically. Keep going in that same direction. Twice more in this direction. And then we'll pause when we get the chin towards the chest, back through center, breathing into the back of the neck and the shoulders. Breathing out. Left ear to left shoulder. Chin towards the ceiling. Right ear to right shoulder. Chin towards the chest. So we're just, again, we're switching directions. Continue in that pattern a few more times. You get to choose your pace here. I recommend going slower than you think you need to. When you slow down, you notice things that you might not notice otherwise if you're going too fast. 2 more circles. And let's warm up the wrists and the hands. So we'll take the arms and reach them up and overhead, spreading the fingers wide. Big breath in here. And then on your exhale, just like you're flicking your fingers, trying to dry them from water. So you flick your fingers out. And this should probably fatigue the little muscles in the wrist, in the fingers, in the forearms pretty quickly. So if you start to feel that burning sensation, that's a good sign. We want to bring some energy, some blood flow, add some strength into the hands and the forearms before we bear some weight there. Then relax that. You can swing out the arms a couple of times. One last little thing for the hands and the wrists, and then we'll come into downward facing dog. We'll take an inhale breath, reach the arms up, and then it's like you're trying to clap your hands with your fingers. It's a little bit different than flicking. I'm trying to make this clapping sound with my fingers. And you might feel this in a different spot in your forearms, different spot in your hands, different spot in your wrist. Also, probably feeling that fatigue quicker, which again is a good thing. Give me a couple more breaths here. And then swing out the arms. Good. And then let's come into downward facing dog. And when we're bearing weight in downward facing dog, remember the hands are really active and you're pressing through the knuckle mounds of the hands and you're engaging with your fingertips. So most of the weight is not on the wrist, it's in the forehand, right? So the knuckles, the palm of the hand, and the fingertips, not on the wrists. There is some weight there, but not all of the weight. Okay, the hands are active. And then in our down dog, I'm gonna take my blocks, and maybe yours are already there. They're kind of just like towards the top of the mat within hand's reach. So this is we'll look at Hanuman or the splits today again, and then we'll change focus next week. And just taking a little bit of time here in your downward facing dog to notice the backs of the legs. And you can start off with your down dog in something a little bit non-traditional, like wide stance with the feet. Maybe they're as wide as the mat, a little bit wider stance with the hands. Relax the head. You might shake that out a little bit. You might bend the knees right and left a few times. All the while, deep breath in and out through the nose if you can. Take one more breath here. And then come back to, if you had your feet wide, about a hip width distance, a more narrow stance in your down dog. Recommit to pressing the floor away, staying strong through the shoulders and the hands. And let's inhale and shift forward to high plank and pause. So still in your high plank, feel that weight shift forward into the knuckles. Okay, so not on the wrist, not all the weight is on the wrist, but forward into the knuckles. Give me a little grip with those fingertips. Take one more breath here. And then set the knees down. Let's come to the belly. We'll take 3 rounds of low cobra. So I'm going to walk my hands back underneath my elbows, tuck my chin in, rest the forehead on the mat, come to the tops of the feet. Keep pressing down through the tops of the feet and the palms of the hands as you inhale and lift the chest. Pressing the floor away, and then exhale, lower. Forehead touches. So twice more like that. Press the floor away with the hands and the feet, lift the chest, lift the head. Exhale, lower. One more time, press the floor away, hands and feet, lift the chest, and then exhale, lower. Tuck your toes under here, press up to hands and knees, and then moving the hips up and back, downward facing dog once more. Settle into that downward facing dog second time in your practice. Notice if it feels any different, what's shifted. Maybe the backs of the legs are feeling just a little bit more warm, a little bit more open. Take one more breath in your down dog. And then lifting the heels, a little bend in those knees, and step your way to the top of the mat. If you have your props there, go ahead and take your hands to your props. That could be your stool, your chair, or your blocks or your books. And in this fingertips to your prop, Can you find that halfway lift using the core? So press into your feet, lift the shoulders at least as high as the hips, and feel your core stabilize that halfway lift. So hands are pretty light. A lot of pressure through those feet. Think about drawing energy up from the floor, through the feet, into the core. And then exhale, fold. Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax your head. Bend your knees right and left a couple times. Relax your head. Again, inhale, halfway lift. So press into those feet, straight legs, strong core, shoulders at least as high as the hips, if not higher. Get light on those fingertips. Deep breath in. And then exhale, fold. So breath to movement, just like we did our low cobra. Inhale, halfway lift, engaging the core. Exhale, forward fold. Twice more like that. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Warming up the backs of the legs. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. And the core, we're warming up both of those body parts. Exhale, forward fold. Now this time, pressing into the feet, find that halfway lift. Can you extend your arms straight forward, so biceps alongside the ears, and then all the way up to standing? So you probably feel the back body, back core engage to lift you up to standing. Hands rest at the heart. Pause here. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Surya Namaskar C. So that's our Surya Namaskar sun salutation with our lunges. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhaling, forward fold. We're going to step back with our right foot into our lunge. And then step the right knee down to the mat. Shift the hips back, find that half split, Ardha Hanuman. Lengthening out through the left leg. Deep breath in, lift the chest here. Exhale, rebend that left knee. Step back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So left foot steps back to meet the right foot. Big breath in. Big breath out. Now right leg's gonna lift up and back. Right leg lifts up and back. Three-legged downward facing dog. Exhale, step forward, right foot between the hands. Left knee to the mat. Shift the hips back. Half split, Ardha Hanuman. Lengthening out through that right leg. Inhale. Keep that spine lifted. Keep that chest lifted. Core active. And then crawl the hands forward. Rebend that right knee. Tuck the back toes. Step forward into your halfway lift. Use the core. Lift the shoulders. Breathe in. Exhale, forward fold. Again, inhale, halfway lift. Press through those feet. Get strong through the core, including the back body. Arms stretch forward. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale your hands to your heart. Pause here, breathe. Second round of Surya Namaskar C. Second side will lead. We're still including our lunges and our salutations. Inhale, arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. This time we're stepping back with our left foot. Left foot steps back, left knee to the mat. Hip shift back, right leg lengthens out, half split. Now I'm lifting my chest, and this time I'm stretching my arms back behind me, so I'm just using my legs to stabilize my half split. That's an option, you could take it. And then we'll inhale, rebend that right knee, plant the palms. We're gonna step back into downward facing dog. Right foot meets left foot, downward facing dog. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, left leg lifts up and back. Three-legged downward facing dog with your left leg lifted. And then exhale, left foot steps forward between the hands, right knee to the mat. Shifting the hips back, lengthening out through that left leg. Arms can stretch back. You can just stabilize with the feet and the right knee, of course, because it's down on the mat. You can also keep the hands there. Now let's inhale and rebend into that left knee. Tuck the back toes. Step forward into your halfway lift with the integrity of the spine. Deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Press through those feet. Find the strong core. Stabilize the spine as you reach your arms forward and stand all the way up. Hands to rest at your heart. Take a moment here. Pause. Breathe. Sun salutations are meant to get the heart rate going, blood flowing. So if you're starting to feel warm, that's a good sign. Okay, Surya Namaskar A. So our traditional sun salutation to continue to increase blood flow and warming the body. Inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, high plank. Option to move through chaturanga to upward facing dog, or you can always set those knees down and come for another round of low cobra. If you're coming into upward facing dog, your legs are active, your knees are lifted, your arms are straight, and you're pressing the floor away. Make a mindful transition, downward facing dog or child's pose. Mindful in your transitions. Use your best judgment, discriminative discernment to decide what makes sense for you today. If you're nursing any injuries, err on the side of caution. I always advocate for taking care of your body and listening to yourself. Take one more breath in your current position, whether that be down dog or child's pose. And then we're going to make our way forward from downward facing dog. So we'll lift our heels, little bend in those knees. You can step up to the top of your mat. You can hop or float if that's in your practice. And then we'll inhale, halfway lift when we get there. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhale, halfway lift with that strong spine. Press through the feet, stretch your arms forward. Come all the way to standing, top of the mat. Exhale your hands to your heart. Just feel your heart beating. Take a full breath here. One more time with our traditional sun salutation A, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Your choice, chaturanga up dog or knees to the mat. Round of low cobra. Mindful transitions. You're choosing something that's going to be sustainable for 3 breaths. Maybe that's child's pose. Maybe that's downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And then we'll transition to the top of our mat from downward facing dog, lifting the heels, little bend in those knees, step, hop, or float to the top of the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift, use the core. Exhale, forward fold. And then pressing through those feet, strong core, strong back body, stretch the arms forward in your halfway lift. Come all the way to standing. Hands meet at the heart. Let's add on here to our Vinyasa. Take a full breath here, hands resting at the heart, just breathing into your body, feeling your way into your feet. And then we'll bend the knees and sink the hips into chair pose, Utkatasana. You can play with the distance between the feet. Some folks find it more comfortable to bring the big toes together to touch. Some of us find it more comfortable to keep our feet hip width distance apart. I like to try both, and sometimes it's different each day, right? So as I stretch my arms forward here, I'm going to check in with my low back. I'm going to see if I can tuck my tailbone under a little bit, make more space for the lumbar spine. And then I can play with this, arms alongside my ears or hands stretching forward. Depends on your neck and your shoulders. See which one feels best in your body. And then see if you can sink the hips just a little bit lower. Feel that weight shift back into the heels. And notice how this feels on the ankles. Do you feel a stretch at the back of the ankle? Do you feel compression at the front of the ankle? Just noting these things. Take one more breath here. Exhale, forward fold, lift the hips, relax your head. Stepping back to high plank. Option to move through a vinyasa flow here, chaturanga to up dog, or knees down to low cobra. And we'll meet up in downward facing dog. We're going to add on with a warrior 1. And we'll add on some options within that warrior one. So from downward facing dog, right foot steps forward, left foot spins flat. So as the right foot steps forward, bend that right knee. As the left foot spins flat and you rise up with the torso, I like to make space for my hips. So I heel toe that right foot out to the outer side of my yoga mat, just a few inches. And so that I can bend into that front knee just to the best of my ability. It might look different for each of us. That's okay. I'm going to take note of where my props are at the top of the mat. Those are going to come in handy in a moment. But for a moment here, maybe just hands at the waist. If you want a little bit more, effort, I guess I would say, arms could reach up and overhead. Either way, hands at the waist or arms reaching up and overhead. Just pause here, pressing into your feet in your warrior one. There's a little bit of an effort to turn the chest straight forward towards the top of the mat. Left hip is moving like kind of at a diagonal towards the outer left corner of your mat. Take one more breath here. And then press that right leg straight. We're gonna hinge forward at the hips. Find that strength in the spine that we've been practicing in our halfway lift in our Ardha Uttanasana, and reach forward and find those props. So if it's your chair, you want to make space for your shin bone, so keep it in front of the shin so you're not running into it. And if it's your blocks or your props, you're framing out that right foot. Okay, so now for those of you, let's see. So I'll say it this way. For those of us with really tight and weaker hamstrings, especially on that right side, take a full step forward with your left foot so you have a shorter stance. Full step forward with that left foot. Okay, so I'm still in pyramid pose, but my left foot is just a little bit closer to my right foot. And now I'm gonna see if I can shift the weight into my fingertips. So I'm pressing down into my props and I'm engaging that left foot, pressing it into the mat. Here's where it gets tricky. I'm gonna see if I can pull my right heel back towards my right glute. Okay, so now I'm balancing on my left foot and my hands. I'm pulling this right heel back, kind of like a flamingo, towards my right glute. Now, see if the weight can stay in your hands and your left foot as you extend your right foot forward, hovering that heel between your props, and then just pull it back and extend it forward. So we're just bending the right knee and straightening it. You know me, I like to add a little bit of challenge into these shapes, a little or a lot. So really working that right hip flexor and the length of your hamstring and your quadricep as it straightens. One more time, and then we're gonna land that right foot forward and soften the torso over the right shin into a more relaxing variation of pyramid. So root down evenly through both feet. Relax your chest, your head over the right leg. Hands can continue to rest on the props. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now crawl your props even more forward so they're like above the top of your yoga mat. Start to transition all of your weight into your right foot and extend your left leg up and back, looking for something in between, like a supported airplane pose or a standing split. So looking for a little bit of length across the back of that right leg. Hands can come off the props. If you're working with balance, you can bind one hand around the right ankle or shin or calf. Get the chest and the head a little bit closer, just to the best of your ability. And then let's take a soft landing, top of the mat, chair pose. So left foot meets right foot. Ooh, those hips, bending the knees, sinking the hips. Maybe let this be a gentle chair pose. Extending the arms forward any amount. And then let's stand up top of the mat. Hands rest at the heart. Take a full breath in here. And a full breath out. Let's sink the hips back into chair pose, bend those knees. Weight moves back into the heels. Add your arms, any variation you want. Find that length in the low back, the lumbar spine. Take one more breath here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, high plank. Choosing that vinyasa flow. And again, I think this goes without saying, if you regularly practice with me, you know you can always skip a vinyasa. You can always add one in too. And there's so many variations that we practice together over time. Like cat-cow is a great alternative to coming all the way down to the belly. Okay, so second side in our downward facing dog. This time we're just going to simply step our left foot forward between the hands, spin that right foot flat, and bending that left knee. We're finding warrior one first. So as you bend that left knee, stay rooted in that back right foot, lifting the torso upright, and then just find your stance here. So again, I like to heel toe my left foot out wide a little bit as I turn my chest and right hip more forward. The hips are never going to get squared forward because there's a little bit of asymmetry in the body. And so we just want to allow for that and let that be true. Okay, and then as the chest turns forward, choosing something with the hands, maybe they rest on the hips. Maybe the arms reach up and overhead. Settle into your feet, keep pressing the floor away. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now we'll press that left leg towards straight. And then reaching forward with the hands, find your props. You're either going to frame that left foot out, or if you're using a chair, make space for your shin bone, right? And then maybe step that right foot forward, a whole footprint, so your feet get a little bit closer together. Because remember, what we're going to do here is shift all of the weight into that back right foot, some weight forward into the hands, and can you get light on that left leg, enough to pull that left heel back towards the glute. So try to avoid all the weight shifting forward into the hands. Keep pressing the floor with the right leg. As you extend your left heel forward, let it hover, and then just try to bend and straighten that left leg to the best of your ability. Okay. So remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're trying. And this is a lot of work. Twice more, bend and straighten. And then next time that left foot moves forward, land the foot. Let's soften over that left leg. Keep pressing down through both feet. Okay, but the torso and the head nestle over that left shin. Give yourself a moment here to relax. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Feel the length across the back of the left leg. And then let's inhale, halfway lift, and crawl the hands forward. If you're using your props, keep using them if you like. Beyond the top of the yoga mat, we're going to shift all that weight into the left foot so we can float the right leg high. Find somewhere in between your supported airplane pose and your standing split. All the weight's on that left foot. Your variations, options to add on. You want to play with that balance. You can take your left hand, wrap it around the ankle, the calf, moving the torso a little bit more towards that left leg. Take one more breath here. Feel the length across the back of the left leg. No matter how high that right leg gets, just feel the length. And then step into your Utkatasana. One last time, Utkatasana. Lifting the chest, bending the knees, sinking the hips. Equalize that weight between right and left side. And from Utkatasana, we're going to sink into the glutes and then come to a seat. We'll take an option to move into our full split practice now, or you're going to work with your half split. So Ardha Hanuman or Hanuman. Okay. And so from your seat, you can just come forward into tabletop. Extend the right foot forward. Okay, so here's your half split variation. About 3 breaths on each side. Work with your half split variation. If you're going to move forward into that lengthening out of both legs, right foot I recommend taking out at an angle. Both hands inside of that right foot. And then wiggling that left leg back, heel toe it back until it feels like it can get a little bit longer. If you have those props you want to add in, you can slide something underneath the pelvis, underneath the back of the right thigh. And that's pretty much our 3 breaths here. So especially if you're in that full split variation, take your time to get back to tabletop. And then we'll extend that left foot forward. If I'm going too fast for you, take it slower. Okay. And then we'll lengthen out through that left leg. Either way, if you're coming through full split, come through half split first. Take a beat, see if that feels okay. If you want to take it further, then wiggling that left foot towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat, maybe even beyond it. Out at an angle so both hands can be inside of that front leg is what I would recommend. And then just inch by inch lengthening back. Just over time kind of nestling into more length in the legs, regardless of how deep the hips get to the floor. Wherever you are, one more breath. And get out of that. Take your time with that. And then we'll come onto our backs. As you lie down on your back, any last shapes or movement here? Maybe it's happy baby, maybe it's a twist. Maybe it's hugging your knees into your chest and rocking side to side. And then eventually taking the time to lengthen out on your back. Please, if you have the time, give yourself a minute of stillness. Relaxing the shoulders down the back. Tilting the chin in towards the chest. And if you can, close the eyes or soften the gaze. Relax your jaw, relax your teeth, your gums, your lips, your tongue. Savasana. Just a few more breaths in stillness. Feel free to stay longer in your restful shape. If you need to move on with your day, start to slowly awaken your fingertips, your toes, move your head side to side. If you're stretched out on your back, bending your knees and rolling off to a side, pause in fetal position for a moment. And then coming to an upright seated position, same way we started. Props are welcome here, sitting wherever is comfortable. Let's take a few breaths. Eyes closed or a soft gaze. Shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Big breath in, grow tall. Breath out, settle. Just follow the breath. Taking a moment to observe the qualities of the breath. easeful, restful, fluid, texture, temperature. In closing, I invite you to join your hands together at your heart and bow your chin to your chest. Taking a moment here to offer reverence and gratitude for our practice. May we use the fruits to serve our highest good. May we share it with those around us that we love and who could use healing. May we remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. I'll have a different area of focus next week. And so if you have any suggestions, questions, comments, please let me know. You can always email me at Tessa, T-E-S-S-A, at tessatovar.com, which is just my name. So take care of yourselves and hope to have you back in class again soon.